That struck me from the first two presentations really was how we're leveraging technology that people already have. So obviously your students probably love being on their phones. So I mean, use them, right? Like keep them on their phone. And I think using it for teachers as well. I mean, so you said numbers that like blew my mind. So that's really wonderful. So I think we're gonna switch to the next one, and we have another cutting edge technology idea here, something really interesting. So Enoch, take it away.
Thank you. Sure. All right. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good students. So, computer scientist and co-founder of Coursera, Andrew Ng, he mentioned in his speech at Stanford that AI is the new electricity. What does he mean by that? So he says that just as electricity transformed almost everything 100 years ago, AI is poised to have a similar impact. So I think it's important for us as educators to really think, how can we make use of such a tool to rethink and transform education? Right? So my name is Enoch, and I'm a math and science teacher at City Public School in Singapore. I teach mainly grades 3 to 6. And when I came to the United States in IUP, that was something I was thinking about, that allowing our students to enjoy meaningful learning experiences was really something important for all of us as teachers. And I think all of us agree that our students deserve the best form of education from all of us. But the challenge is planning and designing that lesson. It's not so easy sometimes, especially with new technology, like what we've heard before. How do we do that as teachers? And so my question that I asked was how, or rather what if AI can help us as educators become better designers of learning experiences? And so that was something that I looked in and something that I was exploring. Now I won't go through this because I will go in depth at the AI-ELD process, or the full name is AI Enhanced Lesson Design Process. And the word enhance is important. I started off by naming it AI-powered lesson design process. But as I was thinking about it, the word powered sometimes gives the connotation that AI is so much more important than us as teachers. But actually that's not true, right? We as teachers have the power. We as teachers are still important, if not more important, than what AI can give. But what we need is AI to enhance the whole entire process. AI is just but a tool that we need to make use of. So which is why the name AI Enhanced Lesson Design Process, right? So what did I learn throughout my 4 months developing this project is that AI has the potential to make lesson planning more effective and efficient. So it's not so much about saving time. Some people think that AI can help you save time, but I feel that it really may not, because you still need to invest the time to think through, to adjust the lesson plan, and not just pick whatever AI is giving you and then run the lesson. That will be wrong, right? Yeah, I think a lot of you agree with me. Yeah. So it's really about how can we make it more effective, but use that same amount of time more efficiently. I think that's important. Next, AI cannot design a perfect lesson plan. Because AI has flaws, ultimately it's a human-designed system, and just like you saw just now, computers will fail, AI systems will fail, and the reason is because AI uses data. And the amount of data it gets depends on what is being fed into AI, right? And we found, actually most of us here are not US-based teachers. A lot of data that AI gets is not based in our country. It's US-based. So what AI gives you, most of the time, or sometimes, it doesn't apply to our context. Right now in Singapore, we make use of this framework called the e-pedagogy. If I were to ask ChatGPT, define e-pedagogy, it will define something completely different from what we define it in Singapore. So if I were to ask AI to give me something related to e-pedagogy, it is not able to do that. So we need to remember that it is not perfect, but it is a smart friend. AI still has the power. We cannot deny that. It has the computational power that even we can never comprehend or cannot match to. So it's really about using AI and having that. Sometimes we always need an intelligent friend next to us, right? You go to, hey, how do you do this? How do you do that? Can you give me some ideas? But sometimes when the person is asleep at 3 a.m., you don't want to wake them up. But AI never sleeps. We can always ask it even at 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning, right? So it's a really smart friend that anytime we can get inspiration from. So what I aim to do is to really guide educators, and I hope that I can bring my learning to not just to educators in Singapore, but to educators all around the world to help them use AI to enhance their lesson planning capabilities. So, what was my journey like? So I started, like all of us, in US with creating our project. So I started off with what I call a prompt template. So that was my initial idea, just to create a template where teachers can use to generate their lesson plan. And so that's what I did. So with the help of my faculty advisor, we started the prompt template. And I was very lucky to be able to collaborate with like-minded educators from Singapore, and we gave a fancy name. We call ourselves the AI-ELD planners. So a group of us, we met twice during the course of these 4 months, and they gave me a lot of feedback. They tried out the template for themselves, and we refined the template from the first version until currently what you see now as the version 4. But we didn't stop there, and I was glad that my advisor, he challenged me. He said, that's not all that you should do. So we started off with the template, and then it slowly evolved into a prompt framework, right? And eventually, it actually now evolved into an entire process of how to make use of AI to design a lesson. And I'll show you the process. So this is the process, and I will quickly run through it with you. But if you want to go and learn more in depth, please feel free to go to this link. So in this link, you will see all the resources that I have done. There are also online learning modules that I will go in depth, the process and how to use each part of the process. So feel free to go in and take a look and learn and use the template for yourself. Use the framework for yourself. So how this works, we start right at the beginning where you need to think about your lesson. So you see the teacher is at the center of a lot of different parts of the process. So it's not just AI taking over everything. So we start by thinking, what is our lesson all about? What is the content, what pedagogy, what kind of assessment? And then from there you customize the framework and you feed it into AI. Again, what AI tool you use? I use ChatGPT. Feel free to use any other AI tool that you like. Now, AI will then generate a lesson plan. And what happens after that? Because like I said, AI is not perfect. The lesson plan that it generates will never be perfect. So you need to analyze and think for yourself which part of the lesson plan that it generates is good, which one needs to improve. So that's where the rubric comes in. Okay? So after you've analyzed, you figured out this part needs to change, this part can keep, you will then refine it. How you refine it, it really again based on you. If you feel that you're confident enough as a teacher, you can refine it based on TPEC means technological, pedagogical, content knowledge. I think quite a lot of you know what TPEC means. Basically, it's using your own expertise, using your own content, pedagogical knowledge to refine the lesson plan. Or, the good thing about AI is because remember it's a smart friend, right? Just like friends, we can keep asking each other questions back and forth. So you can ask AI questions back and forth or give it more instructions, more information for it to refine the lesson plan even better for you. And ultimately, what you get is a refined lesson plan that hopefully is able to excite and engage your students with that kind of meaningful learning experience. Now, let me show you a demo of how it looks like. So it gives you a sense and hopefully it gets you excited to want to try this out for yourself. This is the prompt framework, right? To make things easy for you, the ones in yellow are the ones that you need to edit. The rest of the framework should not be changed unless you know a little bit more about prompt framework and you want to change it for yourself. So this is how it looks like. So you just edit and change according to what lesson you want. So in this case, my lesson was the math lesson, area of composite figures, and it's aimed at primary 4. So I teach Singapore, so we call it primary 4. So then you fill up everything else. Bear in mind, a lot of the terminologies, like you will see here, key application of technology. This is Singapore. We use that framework or that context to define what is good use of technology. So some of what you see there is very peculiar to just Singapore context, right? And you feel free to delete any role that you feel that it's not relevant to you. So if you're using it, and so I helped Cleji in Brazil, and because we didn't have they didn't have KAT, so we deleted that role. Right? So feel free to edit and change it. That's why I place it in an Excel format. Next, you will then copy and paste the prompts. You will notice that I split the prompt into two parts. Reason is because, like I said, AI is not totally smart. Sometimes if you lump everything together, feed it into AI can get a bit confused. So just like our students, you need to give them, you got to scaffold the information for them, right? So this is how it looks like. I copy, and I use ChatGPT 4. I realize it's a bit smarter than ChatGPT 3.5, though you need to pay. So you will see ChatGPT is asking some questions, and then I'll copy the next part, which is basically answering the questions. And you can see for yourself right now, ChatGPT is in real time generating an entire lesson plan for you. It has activities. It also has questions, because that's what I ask it to do, right? And it also explains, because I tell it to design it based on the concrete pictorial abstract, which is a pedagogy we use in Singapore. So it is actually explaining it for me in 21st century skills. So depending on the mood of ChatGPT itself on that day, it will explain certain things for you. Now, this is part of the assessment rubric. So we are using this to see what needs to grow, what exceeds the criteria. And from there, let's ask it more questions. So for example, I can ask it to maybe change the activate learning, so it's the start of the lesson, to make use of gamification. Probably I want to have some games to start off the lesson. And you see ChatGPT is revising the existing lesson plan that it generated to include what I ask it to do. And so now I ask, okay, I want to promote thinking and discussion. I want to have more critical thinking. Can you ask or suggest some questions? And this is what ChatGPT is doing now. It's suggesting questions that you can use in your own lesson. All right, so ultimately, all these suggestions, then it's really up to you as a teacher to pick and choose what suits you, what suits the needs of your students. So, what am I going to do? I will definitely be training teachers, and to reach as much as I can, I will use different modes. In person, like this kind of style, synchronous, where I can do webinars, asynchronous, where my learning modules are. So feel free to learn from me via the asynchronous method. Now, because like I mentioned, AI doesn't have context in Singapore, this is something I'm going to explore with the government in Singapore. Can we somehow teach AI our own education context so that AI becomes a little bit more smarter and is able to suggest something that is more relevant to us as in Singapore? Now, I also hope to present at local conferences and also international conferences. So I'm very excited that me and my professor, we have written a proposal to co-present at EAST next year. For those of you who don't know, EAST is one of the biggest tech conference in the US. So I really hope to be able to come back to the US in June next year to share what I've learned with everybody there. And he has also challenged me to publish academic journals. So hopefully in time to come, I will have something else to share. Yeah, so I hope you're excited just as I am, and just as the teachers I've shared with who are really excited about using the power of AI to enhance the work that we do so that we can become better teachers at the end of the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.